Okay, YouTube, let's review a Brian Head Welch album. So this is a member of the band Korn, and he actually left their group in 2005 because he had become a born-again Christian. Now the lifestyles of Korn and what they were involved with, I think as with most rock stars, it gets pretty prolific, but this does cause some sort of grief every once in a while. Or Korn was affected by the fact that this happened, and Brian Welch went on to write a book and record some songs and decide as to what he was going to do next. Now, this album was supposed to come out in 2007, but he decided to work deeper on the project, and we got it had a different title, but it wound up being Save Me From Myself. So this album came out in the late summer of 2008, which there was no Korn album around this time, so I almost consider this a project, seeing as he was still had affiliations with them. I see it as like a bonus Korn project, something you might as well have checked out if you cannot get enough Korn, and this is kind of the way it is. Now, obviously, he did wind up making a solo career with a different. He had this album, but then he wound up having a band that called Love and Death, and so I was getting ready to mess with that, but there is no Brian Head Welch further projects, and he did eventually reunite with Korn, and I think he was on Serenity of Suffering and probably the Paradigm Shift, but that's what we've got. And so this album was supported by just one single, and that is Flush. And this has one of the most wicked guitars on it, and I was impressed by hearing that song. Made me wish that there was more to this album. It's a great album, but there's not a ton of radio backing to this project. So I'm not sure if it charted on the rock charts, but it's a great single, and I think there's a video for it. So that was kind of the thing. It carried this project, but we needed that second one. And I looked it up on the internet. The supposed second one was Rebel or Rebel, but I did not. That is not one of my favorite songs on here. So I probably would have chosen Loyalty, and just we really could have used that second one. So after Flush, the first few songs really are a hit, and so I guess we're going to talk about these. So yeah, since I can't talk about the singles for this, I'm just going to get into the meat and potatoes of the project. So I mean, this does sound pretty similar to Korn in some traces. Money, Shake, Loyalty all have that Korn feel to them. Save Me From Myself has a pretty nice backdrop to it. Just has like that feeling, any place where you listen to rock and you let it sink in, it's not going to take long for that song to really work for you. And I also think the song Love is another one that does it pretty well. But yeah, so this album is going to get a 9 out of 10 because I did like 8 out of 11, which I suppose I could give it. I mean, I think that's a pretty fair score, 8 out of 11 me liking. And yeah, so I'm going to list the songs that you need to hear. So Flush, Loyalty, Shake, Love, Save Me From Myself, Die Religion Die, Adonai, I think that's song number 8, Adonai, and Money. Those are the 8 ones. And so Shake, Loyalty, Money are some real hits. And then the first 3 songs are also real gnarled up too. So basically this whole album is a pretty, listening to it, it kind of has that feeling of something that fucks with your head. And that's what I got from it. And I know the topics on this album are cleaner and more upright, but I still find this project something that just gives you a good time and is not focused on making sure that you understand the point of the project. So as long as you can treat how you listen to it with your own avenue, it doesn't really matter. So that's the whole thing there. So yeah, I found this album to be a treat. And Flush, definitely that's a song you need to, these for newcomers need to listen to this immediately. And Loyalty is probably the second one for me, and then I would go for Shake. But those 9 songs or those 8 songs are pretty much, good hits. So the social score will get a 4 out of 10 because I feel like, or people knew him from Korn, but it was just Flush, and that was about it. And I feel like we really could have seen more. I've said this a lot, but this was really his only solo album. He was working on a second one, but it just didn't pan out. So we did get Love and Death, and then he went back to Korn. So, but the good news as far as the future is he is going to continue Love and Death. So maybe we'll see more of this. It would be pretty slick if we did. And so can this record be topped? Not really. And that's about it. Needed that second single. Subscribe for more fun.